Thank you for joining me on the Road to Great Health podcast. I'm Dr. Kevin Lenderman from Dr. Kevin's Wellness Clinic right here in Lafayette. And our first podcast is going to be about how we got into this chronically sick shape in the first place. Future podcasts will be about how we get you out of it. And the reason that I named this series The Road to Great Health is, number one, I want you to imagine your future as a long road to achieving great health, and that road has little to do with age. I want to start by telling you a story of two ladies that are great friends, both 65 years old. One is living the time of her life. She's gardening, golfing, playing with her grandkids in the yard. She's shopping, really living the time of her life. She is truly experiencing the golden years. And her lifelong friend, also 65, unfortunately is really struggling. She's on multiple medications. She's loaded with several chronic diseases. She uses a wheelchair, and now her family is discussing having to admit her into a nursing facility. Now, those two roads look very different. One living the time of her life, the other a very miserable existence. And the reason this happened is because earlier in this road to achieving good health, one of them took the right fork and the other took the left fork. One did things to be proactive and achieve good health and maintain their level of quality of life that they really wanted, and the other one, unfortunately, took a very different path. Now, here's the moral of this story. That fork in their road, that fork in their health pathway, didn't start at 65. It didn't even start at 60. In their 40s and 50s, one started doing things to achieve a long, healthy life, and the other one, unfortunately, did not. So that fork happened years, if not decades earlier, and here's my question to you. What does your future health pathway look like? What road are you on, and how willing are you to do whatever it takes to get you on the road so that you're living your life to the fullest for decades into the future? Now, you don't have to know what that road looks like. That's my job. But you do need to take action so that you can achieve great health. And that's what I'm here for. You do have to pick the pathway and the road that's going to leave you there. And it takes willing to make changes. You know, on a long trip in your car, sometimes your GPS may tell you there's a traffic jam ahead and suggest that you take an alternate route. And at that point, you have a decision to make. You can continue down the same old road and end up stuck and miserable, or you can choose to do something new and different and take an alternate route to achieving a better result. My job is to be your GPS on the road to achieving great health. And the most important thing about the GPS in your car is you have to listen to it and follow it. And the same is true here. Sometimes the road can be bumpy. Sometimes we can have ups and downs when treating patients, but we will reach your final destination if you just stick with it. But you have to be willing to do something different rather than continuing to buy into Big Pharma's picture of having to take a pill every ache and pain and problem that they can come up with. Because the truth is, we have a real problem in healthcare. And that problem is that it's 100% controlled by the pharmaceutical companies, and it's not even close. America now consumes 60% of all the pharmaceutical drugs on planet Earth, and we are 3% of the world's population. We have more doctors and hospitals than any other country in the world, and we spend more on healthcare than most of the rest of the world combined, yet we rank 45th in life expectancy. We're far behind every other industrialized nation on the planet. Estonia beats us. The Czech Republic beats us. Cuba beats us in life expectancy. Now, Cuba's stuck in the 1950s because of the embargo. They all drive like 1959 Buicks, and they outlive us. Cambodia outlives us. Sometimes in Cambodia, they might be a 3-day walk from any healthcare facility. We have hospitals and doctors' offices on every single corner in America, and they outlive us. So there's a real problem here. If the answer to achieving a long, healthy life was doctors, drugs, hospitals, and spending more money, we would live the very longest life in the history of humanity. And that's not happening. Now, don't get me wrong. Our medical doctors are some of the finest trained individuals in the world, and many of them do absolutely amazing work. But our system, the American system, is set up for two main issues: acute care and trauma. That's where the brilliance of the American healthcare system really shines. What acute care means is that you have something that's going to kill you immediately. A heart attack, a bloodborne infection, you need an organ replacement, a gunshot wound. Those type of things the American system is absolutely brilliant at. Same with trauma. I could literally cut my arm off in an accident, carry it in the hospital, and the doctors can reattach it, and I can continue to use my arm. That's brilliant medicine. But there's a whole other category that our American system really struggles with, and that is solving chronic disease, diabetes, autoimmune, thyroid, hormone imbalances, IBS, Crohn's, and so on. The system really struggles with chronic disease. So if I ask you, name a chronic disease in America we've cured in the last 50 years, go. Like roll the crickets, right? I wish I had cricket noises. We have a chronic disease epidemic in this country. We have children developing terrible diseases that were unheard of just 40 years ago. Over 1/3 of U.S. kids are now obese or overweight. They had to stop calling type 1 diabetes juvenile diabetes because it was so confusing. So many kids are now developing type 2 sugar diabetes, and that used to be unheard of. So they had to change the name to type 1 and type 2 because now kids are getting both. There's been a 683% increase in neurological disorders. Brain health disorders like anxiety and depression and brain fog are through the roof. Alzheimer's, skyrocketing. Digestive disorders, skyrocketing. Autoimmune diseases, skyrocketing. And listen, I could go on and on. But if you haven't realized that we have a chronic disease epidemic in this country, you really need to do some research on it. Chronic disease is our wheelhouse. That's where functional wellness programs like mine really shine. And I'm going to show you that pathway right here on the Road to Great Health podcast. But we're not practicing healthcare in many cases of chronic disease. We're practicing sickness care. All they have to help chronic disease in many cases is a pill to cover up the symptoms of chronic disease. Ever stronger medicine to cover up ever worsening symptoms is not the pathway to achieving great health with most of these chronic diseases. That's why we rank 45th in life expectancy and have the most expensive healthcare system on the planet. So how did we get here? How have we let this happen to our healthcare system? Well, if I could just pause and shoot straight with you guys here for a second, and listen, I'm a straight shooting guy. Sometimes I can be a little bit too direct, but here it is. We are literally ingrained from birth with the idea that it's bad to feel bad and it's good to feel good. And if I feel bad, I need to take something to feel good. This starts from the time we are born. Oh, baby, you have a fever. Take this. It'll make you feel better. From the time we're little babies, we're taught that if we feel bad, we need to take something to feel better. Which, by the way, for fever, makes no sense. Fever is your body's way of killing bacteria and viruses. Colds and flus can't live at 102 degrees. They die. So our body, in its beautiful wisdom, increases our body temperature to kill the infection. But what do most people do? They take antibiotics to kill the infection and something to bring the fever down. We actually prolong our sickness. We destroy our own immune system and its functions. We make the bacteria resistant and mutate so that antibiotics won't even work and it keeps getting worse. But we grow up with this idea that we need to take something to feel better. No wonder teens turn to drugs when they face adversity. They've been ingrained that when I feel bad, I need to take something to feel better. And this has reached a level now that adults have zero ability to be even slightly uncomfortable with any symptoms whatsoever. I see this daily in my practice. Patients come in and goes, We're working on their digestive health for 2 months, trying to get them back to normal. And I see this huge step backwards, and I can't figure out why. And they'll say, well, I worked in the yard and my back was sore, so I took Advil for a couple of days. You just set us back 2 months because you've destroyed your gut bacteria balance. You stripped your glutathione out of your cells for the next 24 to 48 hours. Your back is supposed to be sore. You overdid it. That's not a bad thing. But we are programmed daily to take something at the slightest little symptom, whether it's good for our health or not. And most of the time, it's not. So, Dr. Kevin, if this has gotten so bad, why don't we see this on the news? Well, that's a great question. And it's because Pfizer, Merck, Bayer, and all the rest are the world's biggest advertiser by a country mile. Networks don't want to lose their biggest customers, so they say nothing. I mean, if you had a business and I was 70% of your customer base, would you write a bad story about me? If you had a convenience store and I came in every day and bought 70% of your food and items, would you insult me when I walked into your store? I bet you wouldn't. You won't see this in a news story at all because almost every commercial is a pharmaceutical-based commercial. Recently, one of the CEOs of one of the big pharma companies was asked if drug commercials on TV had much effect on sales. And he said that's not really the purpose, is to increase sales. It shields us from damaging stories, and Big Pharma wants nothing more than to ensure that you're on as many prescriptions as possible. Now listen, does medication have its place? Of course it does. But for chronic disease, and if you're watching this, I'd bet that's what you have or someone you know does, medication rarely solves it. It might tamp it down. It might cover it up, but it's rarely a solution. Now, don't get me wrong. If medication's helping you feel better, you're not to blame. I get you're just trying to improve the quality of your life. And if medication helps you temporarily do that, I'm fine with it. I'm good with that. But there's a difference between cover up and solutions, and you need to look for solutions while you're covering it up. And the whole thing about this is one of the main reasons that chronic disease is running rampant. And listen, I don't have a dog in this fight except for one thing. I don't get kickbacks. I don't use the billing system to set up for doctors where everything has a code and then that code is matched with a payment, and everything is structured for covering up symptoms using this coding system and billing system where doctors are forced to examine it, code it, bill it, go on to the next patient. I'm not part of that system. So I only have one person that I work for and one person only, and that's my patients. My only dog in this fight is to be an advocate for you and the public and your health and my patients. And the system is obviously failing us, and it will continue to do so for chronic disease until you decide to do something different and get a better result. You know, insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a new result. And there's a lot of insanity going on with chronic disease in the American system. And I think others are now seeing that and speaking on this chronic disease problem. And we're hearing more and more of this now. But all I can say to them is welcome to the party, guys. I've been talking about this for 25 years, and I'm glad to now see others out there, and you are starting to hear it. But usually even those stories are followed up with some negative. So that's one reason why chronic disease is so prevalent to now. And here's another one, and it's our food industry. Our food is now grown in a way that you can get it fast. We've advanced agriculture so much that it's abundant and cheap, but that comes with another price. A lot of our food is horrible for us, and let me tell you why. Most food has almost no nutritional value. So our body systems are void of enzymes and nutrition. One head of lettuce in 1948. How many heads of lettuce do you think it takes today to equal the same nutrition today? It takes 25. 25 heads of lettuce to equal the same vitamin and mineral content as one did 70 years ago. Most people don't even eat one salad, much less 25 heads of lettuce. So we are starving our body and overeating at the same time. Repeat that. We are starving of nutrients and being overfed at the same time. and it continues to get more and more food cravings, and your body is looking for nutrition, and today's diet is not providing that. Most food is also genetically modified, and that causes all sorts of food allergies and skin conditions and other reactions. Now, most people don't know what I mean when I say GMO. That means genetically modified organism. So what Monsanto did, who I refer to as the evil empire of the food industry, what Monsanto did was with GMO is they took the genetic structure of a wheat plant or a corn plant or an apple, and on one end of it, they spliced a portion of DNA virus. And then on the other end, they spliced a portion of DNA bacteria. So you've got part corn, part virus, part bacteria. It is a totally man-made creation. It is a Frankenstein creation of part virus, part bacteria, and part plant. That's why it's called an organism, genetically modified organism. It's not even a plant anymore. And the reason they did that is so they can soak it with more glyphosate, the active ingredient, and Roundup, and even worse chemicals, and it won't kill it. Many of these chemicals aren't even studied. And so hello, food allergies, autoimmune diseases, cancers, and the like. This is everything made with wheat. So that's enriched wheat flour. How often do you eat that? Probably daily. Anything made with corn, corn oil, or high fructose corn syrup. How often do you eat that? Probably daily, is loaded with it. Soy oil, or soybean oil. Animals fed corn, wheat, soy are loaded with this stuff. That's practically every animal. How often do you eat that? Roundup is now found in over 90% of our food that you eat, and it's in almost 100% of the water that you drink. And that contributes to chronic disease. Patients come in and they go, "Doc, my diet's pretty good." No, it's not. Even trying your best to eat a good diet is not really possible with today's food supply. There are no good diets anymore. Some are better than others, and we'll get into that on a future podcast, but no one has a good diet in 2024. It's not possible, even me, because of these reasons. Now, the reason number 3 so many people have chronic disease is stress. I don't know what happened or why, but it's everywhere. I was pulled out of the parking lot yesterday into a parking space, and I had to pull out into the space a little weird because, hey, I drive a 4-door dually, so it's not like I can just whip into any parking space. And the lady in the other area she was just like this, and I could see her white knuckles in her face. I impeded her progress for probably 5 seconds, and her health will be affected forever. We got to chill out a little bit. Hey, I'm as guilty as anyone here. I have what I like to call a spirited driving style, but we all need to chill. Stress puts us in a state of emergency, and you can't be in emergency mode all the time and have good health. Crisis mode, emergency mode has a specific set of goals to survive an attack. My blood pressure goes up so I can either fight or run. My digestion shuts down. My blood sugar spikes so I can have a lot of quick energy. Reproduction and hormones shut down. All of this is to survive the next 2 minutes of this attack. But we aren't being attacked. We are stressed from life, and the nervous system does not know the difference. Our sleep is terrible, which we're going to get into a whole future podcast on sleep, but sleep is like cleanup mode for your brain and your body. If you aren't getting a good restful night's sleep, it's like never doing the dishes at your house or never sweeping your floor. Imagine how that would go after a while. Now, the number one aspect of sleep is too much light in our eyes at night. Your phone puts out the same light to your brain as the noonday sun. So it's 9 o'clock at night. I know what you guys do. You're laying in bed scrolling. Your brain's going, it's daytime, it's noon. Make daytime hormones, not nighttime hormones. Your brain is totally confused. Now, sleep deserves a whole podcast by itself because it's pretty complicated. Today is about chronic disease, but sleep is definitely a big part of that. We will be doing a future podcast where the whole thing is on sleep. And I wanted to close today talking about what I feel is the most important aspect of you achieving great health above all else. And if I had a magic wand and I could resolve one issue on the planet to do the most good, it would be this. And it's an issue that we call energetic debt. So the energy molecule in your body is called ATP. It is the molecule that runs all of your systems, every heartbeat, every hormone, every breath, every action, every function in your body is fueled by energy from ATP. It's what gasoline is to your car. So it makes sense that you have to have more ATP to run everything than your body needs, just like you need more gas in your car than it takes to reach your destination. Your body must take in and make more energy than it uses up. Or another example is your bank account. You have to deposit more money in your bank account than you spend out to pay all your bills. And as long as you do that, your bank account is healthy. Your bank runs on dollars, but your body runs on ATP energy. And energetic debt means that your body is using it up faster than it can make it. You're spending energy you don't have. How many of you feel that way? You ever felt that way? When ATP gets depleted, your body can't run all of its systems properly. It can't pay all of its bills. Your body will eventually look up one day and it will go, I'm in real trouble. I'm in crisis mode. You cannot be in crisis mode and healing healthy mode at the same time. Often patients tell me that they've just lost it all of a sudden. Doc, when I turned 42, everything started falling apart. Or after my last child, or after my divorce, my health fell apart. Or I had this one bad accident. Or after I lost my parents. They actually remember a specific event or a series of events when their health went downhill. That is the moment that they flipped into energetic debt. Kind of like, have you ever gotten behind on your bills? And once they start piling up, it's so hard to get caught up. Every dollar is just to try to stay above water, and every dollar is being taken up as fast as you can make it. And you still have more bills coming in and you're paying old bills. This is what happens with your body when you get in energetic debt. You end up barely existing. Some of you may feel like you've been barely existing for a while. Life is too short for you to spend it barely existing. Now, the next thing that your body will do is it will try to make up for this ever-worsening energy loss. It will have to start choosing which systems it's going to spend its energy on. So just like in your bank account, if you're in trouble and it's time to pay bills, what are you going to do? You're going to prioritize. So you're going to pay the rent so that you have a place to live, and you're going to pay the electric bill so that you have lights and air conditioning, especially in Louisiana. But the cable bill, that's going to have to wait. Netflix, can't do it. Starbucks, not going to do that this week. Going out for lunch every day, I'm probably going to bring a bag lunch. This is not a priority, and this is exactly what happens in your body in energetic debt. Your body will have to prioritize what systems it run. Heart and lungs, give that some energy. That's life essential. Digestion, we can go 3 weeks without any real digestion, so that's probably going to have to wait. Hormones, that's for reproduction. No way we can do that now. Having a baby is not a priority, not life essential. Don't spend any energy on hormones. Libido, we're tired and low energy. That's definitely not life essential. We're barely getting by and you expect us to pay libido? We're not doing that. That's not happening. We are barely paying for brain, heart, and lungs, and you want libido? Not happening. Can't afford it. So speaking of your brain is very energy demanding. In fact, it's the most energy demanding organ in your body, and it's not even close. So have you ever gotten behind on your bills so you paid half of a bill and hoped they would let you get caught up the next month? That's what the brain will do. It will get just enough energy to keep you existing, but to be sharp and quick-witted and thinking 100% clearly with no mood problems or anxiety or depression or anything else, we can't pay that whole thing this month. We're going to pay a little bit and you'll end up with brain fog, forgetfulness, anxiety, downregulation of brain activity, forgetfulness. It's a big problem, and I see this every day in my practice. So do you see now how your body has to prioritize its limited energy supply under energetic debt? You just thought you were tired, but it's all the life's non-essential functions that get pushed to the side. So in energetic debt, not only do you feel tired, your body will prioritize keeping you alive over allowing you to thrive every time. You feel this way? Your body is a survival machine, and it will shut down everything it has to for survival. And this is the effect of energetic debt. Now, here's the other big problem with energetic debt, and it has to do with your body's ability to make new cells. Your body is basically a cell manufacturing factory. Making new cells is like your rent. It's your biggest expenditure. If you don't continually make new cells, you will not exist, period. You have a new skin every 14 days. You have new cells in your eyes every 3 days. You have a new liver every 8 weeks. You have a new heart every 7 to 9 years. So your body is in the cell making business, and that's what keeps you alive. But it's very energetically expensive process to go through. And in a state of energetic debt, the quality of your cell manufacturing will be very poor. So think of it this way. Imagine if we have a factory, and in that factory we make, paper towels. And at first, the factory is running great. We're meeting our quota. The employees are showing up and doing a great job. The management is managing them really well, doing a great job. The factory bank account has plenty of money, and the factory's just clicking along on all cylinders. So our paper towels are very high quality. We're making Bounty paper towels. Then let's say that the factory starts to fall on hard times. The bank account's empty. The employees go on strike. The management is failing, but we still have a quota to make. So what do the factory owners say? What are they going to do? Make them cheaper. Now we're making very low quality paper towels like the Great Value or the Sparkle paper towels that no one likes. This is exactly what happens to your cells inside your body in your cell manufacturing process under energetic debt. The quality of your cells that are being manufactured to replace your old cells are very poor and deformed and ugly, and they don't work right. Your cell manufacturing has been screwed up due to this lack of energy, and this becomes one of two things. It either becomes cancer or it becomes autoimmune disease. Autoimmune disease in traditional American medicine is thought of as the immune system is making a mistake, it's gone haywire, and it's attacking the patient's own body, so we need to shut that down. We don't know why, it just happens sometimes, or it's bad luck, or it's genetics. Well, if it's genetic, why'd you get it at 42 and not 41? Because you have the same genes, so that's silly. That's actually not what's happening. What is happening is because of energetic debt, the quality of cell manufacturing is so poor that your cells are so deformed and ugly that the immune system looks over at those cells and doesn't recognize them as being part of you. Energetic debt has caused your cell replication to become so screwed up that your immune system can't even tell that those cells are part of your own body, and it attacks. It's not the immune system's fault. It's trying to clean up those ugly cells, but that's the only cells you're making. So it's not that your immune system is making a mistake. It's that your energetic debt has caused your cells to become so polluted that your immune system is trying to clean those up and clean up those incorrectly built cells, but that's the best cells that your in-debt body can make. Now, let's say that those damaged cells mutate in a way that causes them to create a life of their own, and they start to mutate out of control. That's called cancer. So when we talk about autoimmune disease and cancer being related, almost like cousins, that's what we mean. So how does this apply to what we see today? Today we're seeing all of these cysts and fibroids and growths and nodules. It's almost seen as normal in traditional medical care to find cysts and fibroids and growths and nodules in patients. It's almost seen as normal in gynecology these days that women are going to end up with fibroids and cysts and growths on their ovaries. The ovaries, if you remember before, are not a life essential organ. So under energetic debt, they don't get the ATP they require. So is it any surprise that those are the areas you're going to get mutations and growths? Of course not. It makes perfect sense. But what do they say? We're just going to watch it. Well, what are we watching it for? For it to get worse? For it to turn to cancer and then we'll cut it out or radiate it at the cost of $1 million? In the field of functional wellness and in my practice, if a patient has cysts, fibroids, growths, or nodules, that means that we're very far down this road of energetic debt, so much so that now their cells are starting to mutate out of control. And yes, maybe we got lucky and it didn't turn malignant at this point. So are we going to ignore it and wait till it does? Not in my practice. And in the opinion of functional wellness practices like mine, all chronic disease is from the body's inability to make or transfer energy somewhere in the body. Every autoimmune disease, every hormone condition, every digestive condition, and I don't use the word all lightly. All chronic disease begins with energetic debt in the opinion of functional wellness practitioners like mine. And I've looked at them all, and I can prove it to you. So speaking of cancers, if we were to say name some type of cancers, and I could go on forever. There's bone cancer, there's lung cancer, there's colon cancer, there's skin cancer, there's livers, there's breasts. Has anyone ever heard of heart cancer? And when I say that, most people are shocked. Why is there no heart cancer, doc? Why doesn't anyone ever get cancer in the heart? Because your heart is the most ATP active organ in your body. Your heart makes its own energy. Listen, your heart has to beat 1 billion times over your lifetime, 80 beats per minute for 100 years, 365 days a week, 24 hours a day without stopping, or you no longer exist. And it uses ATP for every one of those beats. So your heart makes its own energy. Your heart has so much energy that it can't get cell mutation. It can't mutate. That's astonishing, right? So it would probably be a pretty good idea if we did that for the rest of your body. If we fix your energetic debt, everything else is going to work better. Now, has anyone ever heard of a case of autoimmune to the heart? Same reason. Your heart can't go into energetic debt to the point the cells are made so ugly and mutated that the immune system attacks. So it would, again, probably be a good idea to fix energetic debt in the rest of your cells and in the rest of your body, right? Now, our program is based around how can we solve energetic debt in your body. Energetic debt explains why you can have someone that does everything they can to get healthy and nothing works. They eat as good as they possibly can. They try to exercise as much as possible, but they're still plagued with all these health problems. And their spouse or someone else they know eats terrible. I mean, I had a lady the other day tell me her spouse eats like they're actively trying to kill themselves. They smoke cigarettes, they don't exercise, they drink like a fish, and it's almost like they're actively trying to sabotage their health, and they live a long life. They have no health problems. And so patients come to me like, doc, that's not fair. I try to do everything right, and I'm plagued with all these health problems, and my husband actively tries to kill himself every day, and he's healthy as a horse. What's the deal? The answer to why this happens begins and ends with each person's level of energetic debt. All right, everybody with me on that. Now, the reasons that you're in energetic debt and the pathway out of it is complicated, difficult work. So this is no cakewalk. Each patient has a unique set of circumstances that has caused them to get themselves in energetic debt where their body can't climb out of it. It's like a company. If I had 3 companies that went bankrupt, they would each have a different reason why. And that's why we spend so much time looking at each and every system in the body in a very technical way and coming up with strategies to fix each problem in order that it needs to be fixed so that the body can regain its health. No one is doing this kind of work in Louisiana because it's complicated and difficult and it takes time. Okay, so now that we've covered what energetic debt is, in the next podcast, we're going to build on this idea of solving these issues and how we're able to permanently reverse this using some of the latest technological advances available anywhere in the world. And we have this technology right here in Acadiana. And this is why millions of Americans are now turning to functional wellness programs and natural health care like we practice here at my clinic. Now, when I say wellness care, Most folks think, okay, he's going to give me 50 different vitamins and supplements. He's going to change my diet and tell me to exercise. That's not the way we do wellness. I'm here to tell you, you can't vitamin your way to solving chronic disease. Now, I know that's not what the vitamin and wellness folks want you to think, but it's the facts. Think of it this way. This is how I see vitamins and supplements. So if we had a business that was about to go in bankruptcy, they were failing, and I come in and I loaned that business some money and got them out of a jam, but I never fixed the reason they went broke, kept the same managers, the same everything, what would happen when the money ran out? They're going to be broke again. So I have to loan them money again and then loan them money again. Wouldn't it make more sense to loan them money and then fix the reason they went bankrupt? This is exactly what we do, but for the body. We get into the business of the body and actually correct where the bad and malfunctioning parts are at a cellular level. So we're not just propping you up temporarily, but creating lasting results. And that's how we're helping thousands of folks every year find their road to great health, to find their pathway. And I'm so excited that so many great folks here in Acadiana are joining our program. Now, if you're truly ready to tackle this chronic disease in you or in your family, I'm here for you as well. Contact us today and let's start your road to great health. And thanks again for joining me on the Road to Great Health podcast. Again, I'm Dr. Kevin Lenderman from Dr. Kevin's Wellness Clinic right here in Lafayette. Like us, share this with someone you know with chronic disease. You might just save their life. You might save a life today by sharing this with somebody. Thank you, Acadiana. We'll be back in 2 weeks to build on these ideas on how to improve, restore, and maintain your health, wellness, and vitality. So don't miss it. And remember, if you don't take action and come get things reversed, you can't expect a result. Action leads to results. So take action. Contact us today and let's develop a plan of action for you. Now, all you have to do is click the drkevinsclinic.com and there's a button on there that says Get Treatment. That will let you talk to my team and we can get you back the life you deserve. Thanks again. Love you, Acadiana.